Hey guys, I'm Chef Dean Max. Stick with me because today we're doing sticky rice. It's a very sticky situation in the kitchen, but I'm going to stop with all that, I promise. Great recipes with sticky rice, and I want you guys to experience a different rice. A lot of times you're eating the same boring rice at home. So stay with me, click subscribe if you're not doing that already, ring that bell, and give me a thumbs up if you like this video. So we'll see you back in a second. Welcome back, you guys. Today we have this great sticky rice recipe, so we're going to get started with soaking the sticky rice. The only drama really with sticky rice to me, for you at home, is you do need to soak it a little bit. And the preparation of that always makes people crazy because they're not thinking ahead. So you need to kind of think, oh, tomorrow, I really feel like having sticky rice. So I'm going to just go ahead and stick some sticky rice in a cup, fill it with water. You just get a little plastic cup like this, fill it with water, and you'll be done. So I go to the store and I buy from my Asian grocery store up the street this Thai sticky rice. It's called sweet rice. This one's called 3 rings, and the difference is sticky rice. I've got, and I'll put a link on there where you guys can find it. Sticky rice it's a little bit kind of dustier. There's a lot more starch on it, right? It's kind of shorter grains, but they're not fat grains like a borio rice that are clear, or like a Japanese sushi rice. They're more powdery looking, and they're short, and they almost have the kind of feel of a basmati in a way, but more starchy. So what we're going to do first with these, always rinse these, because sometimes you can get bugs in your rice, which is fine. Sometimes they come with the bugs, and they actually, when they transfer these little weevils, these eggs get in there, and when they sit in your dry goods store, sometimes they'll hatch, which is kind of creepy, right? But that happens in a lot of grains and flours and things like that. So I always say keep them in an airtight container. So you can take this bag like this, put this in a glass container, and keep it in there in your dry goods storage room. And then with the rice like this, I'm just going to put this in running water in my sink, and I'm going to turn that down. So I'm just going to put that in running water. And what I'm going to end up with is this, which is a soaked rice that I have soaking all night in the refrigerator. And what does that do? It hydrates this rice. So the first thing you do is rinse the rice. That's to get any kind of dirt or powderiness that it was dealing with when it was traveling off. So you've really cleaned the rice kernel nicely. You're getting rid of excess starch as well. And then you put it in the water like this to soak in your refrigerator overnight. And the rice now becomes very hydrated. So when you steam it, the rice already has water kind of inside of it at this point, and it's going to be easy for it to kind of, plump up and absorb that. And it cooks it in a way too that this sticky rice sticks to each other and stays nice like that, but at the same time as well, it doesn't become gummy, which if you cook this like a risotto rice, sometimes you can get it really gummy. Sometimes when I'm trying to make a thick soup, I'll stick sticky rice, a couple tablespoons of sticky rice in the soup, and it really thickens it up quite a bit. But there's a couple of different ways we're going to cook it. Okay, now I actually have a traditional Thai cooking basket, which is this, what I'm going to do is put the rice in here. And actually, it's funny because I have some kind of chunks of dried rice in there from last time. So you're just going to pull those out. So I'm going to put this rice in here, and the water is going to come right out of this, right? So I'm just going to do this over the sink. And when I do that, I'm going to put the lid on it like this, and I'll show you what it looks like in a second. And then I'm going to put it back on this pot back here like that. And there's water in this pot, and it's steaming. Now, you guys probably don't have that at home. So what you can do is something makeshift. And makeshift would have just a pot full of water, like we have here, and a strainer, right? So you're going to put the rice in the strainer, right? You can rinse it off even after soaking it like this. Rinse it again, give it another nice rinse. And then we're going to put water in here, like a couple inches of water in here. And then this rice on top of it. You don't want the rice to be sitting down in the water, that's all, because you're trying to steam. So you want just a little inch of water on the bottom. You want to put your strainer in like this, and then put a lid on top of it, a tight lid. Now it's going to steam. and it's going to steam for about 30 minutes. So I'm going to put this on the stovetop, steam this for about 30 minutes, and then I'm going to show you what that looks like. So we'll see you back in a minute. Hey guys, welcome back to the kitchen. We're going to get started on this sticky rice recipe. The reality is having a good sticky rice around like that and making it, you can have it as leftover. There's a million different directions you can go with that leftover even. You can go sweet, savory. There's a lot of cool things you can do. So what I'm going to do first is pull this off the stove. Okay, well, let me get a towel so I don't burn myself. And this was my steaming water. You can see back there. And I've got my basket here with my sticky rice in it. Now I want to take this off. You can see the rice in there is nicely steamed, right? Look how beautiful that is. So what you can do is, well, sometimes when you're what I do is about halfway through the cooking process, I lift it up like this and cruise it around. You see how it lumps in there like that? How great that is? So at this point, if you do that about halfway through the cooking process, so do that about the 12-minute mark. It goes for about between 25 and 30 minutes. So I always check it. I do about 12 minutes. I do that little kind of adjustment, and then after that, I let it go the rest of the way. So I'm just going to stick this back here. Like I said, that sticky rice, there's a million different things you can do with it. It's really nice when you press it in saran wrap and you put some type of stuffing in there and wrap it up. Then you can just steam them. They're really good. Or you can saute them. So it's really cool because if you have a stuffing in there and you just saute the rice in a pan, with some oil, and you do it on both sides, the outside gets crispy and the inside of the package gets steamed. So it's really nice. You can see how steamy this is right now. Now what I want to do is I've got some hot coconut milk here. And I want to put coconut in it because it's kind of like Southeast Asian style. I don't want to say Thai because it's not all Thai. I've got some kimchi here I'm going to use as well because I love kimchi, which is Korean. But the reality is all of those cultures still pickle things, and they just go about it a different way. They use different spices. So with this, I want to take this coconut. I'm going to flavor this with a little bit of fish sauce. Now, you don't have to do this. I like fish sauce. A lot of people are really weird about fish sauce, so they don't like it. So I use this 3 Crab brand. If you don't like fish sauce, just leave it out. You can put salt in here to make it savory, or soy sauce, right? So I'm not going to put really soy in that because fish sauce is just basically the bones of the fish that they salt, and they just let that ferment. And over the course of time, the juice that comes out, they collect it. So you can imagine the juice is fishy and salty, right? If you haven't tasted it before. So with that, I want that for saltiness in there. I'm going to put a little bit of white pepper in here too, because I like that flavor. So I'm going to add my white pepper in and stir that. And I'm going to leave it kind of clean looking. I think I'm going to take a little teaspoon of garlic. I've got here, you guys can see I have my garlic confit. So garlic confit is just my cooked garlic, and I use it a lot. So you can click above here to learn that recipe and have that in your pantry. It's basically, the sweet part about it now is I've got the hot coconut milk. I don't have to cook the garlic in here. Now, if you don't have the garlic confit, what you could do is just mince some garlic. Actually, what I would do is smash a couple garlic cloves, put it in your coconut milk when you're warming it up, and then just don't use the garlic after. Just use the flavor that the garlic gives the coconut. Okay. Again, another good ingredient in this would be ginger. If you want to take some ginger and juice it and squeeze it in there, and you can easily juice it by just grating it on a box grater, taking that grated ginger and just squeezing it in your hand. And just the juice that comes out, that's what you use. But ginger would be really nice in this too. So with that, I'm going to pour it into my steamed rice. And this is going to give my rice kind of this beautiful creaminess to it. It's sticky already, and this is gonna give it like a kind of a smoothness, right? And it's going to absorb all that flavor of the coconut, the garlic, And the fish sauce has got a really beautiful umami. And then I'm just going to let that sit, okay, like that. All right. So what I'm going to do, put that aside. We're going to come back to that in a second. All right. Now, this is a quick dish, right? Once you have the rice, and again, you could have the hot rice already cooked like we just did, cool it down, wrap it, put it in the fridge, wrap it in plastic. You can put it in smaller containers. So if you're cooking, like if you're gonna have rice throughout the week, you can make the rice once and then keep that rice and re-warm it. That's the beautiful thing. It's not kind of like risotto. Even though risotto, you can use leftovers in different ways. This, you can use the leftovers in different ways. So you can heat that coconut oil up or coconut milk up a little bit, and then add that to just a little bit of leftover rice that you could even microwave for a second just to make it warm. Put the hot coconut on it and you're ready to go. You could saute the rice. You could do it like fried rice. So there's a lot of different ways. So with this, we're going to take now the other ingredients I'm going to have today. I've got some bok choy. If you don't have bok choy, you can use spinach. You can use any other different greenery. I love bok choy though. And I'm going to take that and I'm just going to cut it. And I have these beautiful, sliced bok choy. It's nice and clean. I make sure I cleaned it out good. Now, I want to start the vegetable first. Why? Because when you're cooking anything, you want to think about time frame. So these cabbage need, they need about 3 minutes to cook and steam together, right? Where my shrimp, I'm going to do some shrimp right here, and I'm going to put a little bit of oil on those. And I'm going to put some white pepper on those as well. Okay, those don't need as long. Okay, those shrimp are small. I don't want to overcook those, so I just want to put those in for a few minutes. So we're going to go with the bok choy first, is the longest ingredient, and then I've got some kale. You saw the kale I got out of the garden. We're going to put that in there too. So we get our pan hot. I'm going to put a little bit of just a little. Kind of a neutral oil, like it could be a saffron oil, peanut oil, canola oil. If you're using canola oil, I would suggest using the GMO-free stuff. And then we have, right here, I've got my kale. I've washed it really good. Now with the kale, I like to cut it small because it can be a little tougher than the bok choy. You can use cabbage, Napa cabbage would be good too. But I just happen to have this nice and ripe in the garden, so I'm going to use that. So with this, I'm going to start it by just putting my cabbage in here, right? And cooking that. And in this kale too, I'm going to put that over here because that can cook as well. Here we're going to get a little simmer, right? It's looking real nice, right? Now, I have here too some cilantro. So what I'm going to do is cut the cilantro up. I'm going to cut the stems and put this over here. But I have the nice tops of the cilantro here, and I'm just going to chop those roughly. I'm not chopping them small. You can see I'm just going to leave them very leafy. That's important. So we don't really need to mush them down. We want the nice flavor of these to come out. Okay, so a couple of the different flavorings that we're going to use, in addition to a little more of the garlic, is some sambal. So sambal chili, you can see the chili itself here. It's red and it's got specks of chili seeds in there. What I like about this, has no garlic in it, has no extra flavorings. Some chili sauces have different flavorings in there that are additional. I don't like those. I like to make my own flavoring with that. So I don't put that. So with this, we're gonna just stir this up, this kale, really quick. You can see how it's breaking down nice. Okay, and then the bok choy is going to take a little longer to cook. If I was doing spinach, I would not put the spinach in as early as this because spinach just takes seconds to wilt. Okay, kale does as well, but I just want to cook the kale, steam the kale a little bit longer. Okay, now what I'm going to do on the side here is put a little bit more oil, and I'm going to put a little of my garlic confit with that, you can see how I have the garlic here, right? And I'm going to spread that around in that oil to make sure all that oil has got a garlicky flavor. And then I'm going to put my shrimp in here. So I'm putting my shrimp in with tongs like this because of the fact that there's a little bit of water residue in this. And I don't want to dump the water in there. I want these to be kind of dry. If I dump the water in, it's going to stop the sautéing process, right? And start the poaching process, if you will. We can add a little water in a second, but not yet. So with that, I've got my shrimp in, and I don't want to flip these 100 times. I'm just going to flip them once, right? Again, I have some white pepper on there. I like white pepper. So you can get a little white pepper from the store as well, or you can ground your white pepper is nice. Now, what I'm going to do too is I did a video on cutting pineapple. So I had some pineapple cut here. You guys should click above to check out that video. But all we're going to do with this is put our pineapple to the side here. And why am I not looking to spread those out? Because I really don't care to really cook the pineapple. I just want to heat it through so it's warm like everything else is, right? But I don't need to saute it or anything. So here, we don't want our garlic to burn, so I want to scrape the garlic a little like this, right? And I'm going to add a little bit of water to that as well, okay? And what that's going to do is take the garlic off of there, the garlic that's on there, and kind of, now it's going to move it around and make it really nice. We don't need a big sear on these shrimp either. These shrimp are small. They're probably a 21, 26 in size. In this, you know, the shrimp really isn't the feature on this, so much as the vegetables and the combination of all this. So we're using really shrimp in this as a flavor. So if you have big shrimp, you know, I tend to do different recipes depending on the size of the shrimp. Now with this, I want to add a little soy. Not only I want to add a little soy on here. You didn't see me put any salt on anything because we're going to add salt here. The only salt we had so far was really the fish sauce in our rice. So because I don't put any salt in the rice as well when I cook that, so it's going to come later. So here we have our beautiful bok choy, and you can see how it's starting to wilt really nice, right? And I have our shrimp. Now I don't want to add a lot of butter to this or anything like that. You can, you know, if you wanted to add butter to this, you could add butter to this. It'd be really nice. I'm going to do too is I have some kimchi here. I always keep kimchi in my fridge. It's such a really good snack to have. And so I always have it around. So I take like a spoonful because I don't want the kimchi ice cold. I'll put a spoonful of the kimchi in there, same as the pineapple, just to take the heat off of it, right? You can buy the store-bought kimchi. I've even seen it at most big grocery stores now have small things of kimchi. It's good to eat stuff like kimchi. You know, having preserved and fermented vegetables like that, it's been happening in time for so long, and it's one of those things that scares me a little bit because it almost seems like our life before all the modern technology was geared around preserving, right? Every culture preserved foods from the summer and from the fall harvest for the winter, right? And because of that preserving, we attribute all these great health benefits. So there's got to be something there that says to us, hey, you know, we should be preserving stuff and eating preserved foods, right? We can't let those just disappear from our diet because we have refrigerators now. We can get food whenever we want it fresh, you know? There's something to be said for that. So, you know, that's my take on it. Here I'm going to add a boatload of cilantro to my shrimp, right? Just like that. And I'm going to move it around. And my shrimp are pretty much done at this point. And everything's pretty much done at this point. So you can see, this is a super simple dinner to have for your family, for your friends. You want to basically just cook the ingredients in a way where you're not overcooking one thing and cooking the other. But this is not a stir fry. Everything is very individual, right? So with this, we've got our hot rice now, and our rice is firmed up a little. You can see how firm the sticky rice is, right? Like that. And this doesn't have like a heavy sauce, and it doesn't need a heavy sauce to it. It just needs, you know, nice flavor. So with that, I've got my sticky rice. I have beautiful bok choy, like this, okay? I'm gonna take my shrimp, put the shrimp down with my cilantro, and I put plenty of shrimp, right? This amount of shrimp is really good for a couple people, but I'm hungry today. So with this, I'm just gonna put my kale to the side here, right? And then I'm gonna put pineapple all over it, right? Like this, warm pineapple everywhere. And then I'm gonna take my warm kimchi and put it on the side here. And the thing about the kimchi's got spice to it. It's got that fermented flavor. And what you end up with is something that really kind of takes you to a different part of the dish, right? So you have the freshness of the seafood and the greens, like the kale and the bok choy. Then you have that really nice kind of sweetness from the coconut milk and the rice with the fish sauce. And then you've got this fermented flavor. So it's always changing your palate as you're eating, which makes it more interesting. And then what I'm gonna do now is I put a little bit of crispy shallots on top. And I buy these a lot of times, you guys. I keep these as condiments in my fridge, so I'll put the link on there how to get those. You know, you can make your own crispy shallots, but I know that a lot of people are not going to do that because you have to go ahead and get some oil ready, slice them really thin. You got to buy shallots, and it's just sometimes easier for me and like that to buy that. And I would say that that's one of the things that I'm okay with, you know, personally, and I know that you will be as well. So that's what we got today. We've got a nice shrimp and bok choy with some soy and kale, pineapple, and a beautiful coconut sticky rice. I hope you enjoyed it. So give me a thumbs up if you liked it. Don't forget to click subscribe right there and ring that bell, and I'll see you back in the kitchen soon. I'm Chef Tbs.